Hello, everybody. It is Jackie, Jing, and Eyes on B for this episode of The Lobby. Camille is unfortunately out. She's babysitting. But B, super excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Holiday brain, big
Yeah,
time, but yeah.
I get that life. I get that life. So you're a mom. Are you just like super inundated with like family stuff and just getting everything ready for the holidays? Oh my gosh, your hoodie's changing colors.
It did, yeah, it did because I said hi to somebody in chat.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's so cool.
yeah. Sometimes it'll change. Um, yeah. Let's see. Let's tr- I can turn into a frog too, but if I did it right now on the screen, I would completely disappear. It shrinks me. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Okay. Well, so is it, this is, oh, does it do this the whole time?
Uh, yeah, I'll switch between them depending on the situation.
Okay,
The
great.
Hawaiian hoodies were made for when Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out because it takes place in Hawaii. So my
Love it.
artist did that as like a nice little thing.
Oh my god. Well, now I know. I was like shocked. I was like, what is happening? But good to know. And I'm loving it. I wish that I could do outfit changes, but that doesn't really work for me. But anyway, you were saying that the holidays have been a little bit wild. So are you just thank you for doing this and taking an hour out to chat with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you're not too pressed.
No, I'm good.
Okay,
No, I'm
cool.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, for me, I'm just not really a big holidays person. So I'm literally doing nothing. Like I'm not seeing family. Dustin and I are probably gonna play It Takes Two. And I'm just gonna try to just do nothing. Just sit on the couch and play video games. So that's gonna be my vibes.
That's that's what I used to do until I had kids. I used to really not like Christmas at all, and I will say that they have helped me become less of a Scrooge about it.
Aww.
Um I hate Christmas music though. I can't do it. I worked
Yeah.
retail too long to like there's no healing that.
I get that. Totally think if you work retail, it's and especially during the holidays, it's just like all of the fuzzy, nice moments with those songs somehow now just fill you with like anxiety and dread. So yeah,
Yep.
but I guess can you reveal any of the big presents that you got them? Like anything you're really excited about?
No, because they are literally
They're an
sitting
earshot.
near me. Yeah, and
Unfortunate.
they don't know the big
The big
secret, you
secret
know?
yet. Okay, well,
Yeah.
they're going to be very excited, and I'm sure that they were very well behaved this year, so they won't be getting a charcoal. You're
No.
like,
Yeah,
too
they were
funny.
close a few times.
Aw, well, obviously we could talk about the holidays at length. Just kidding. Don't want to do that. But
Mhm. No.
I really, we were chatting and you said that you wanted to chat about the Game Awards. So I was like, let's do it. So I mean, I think that like I'll just do like a little quick review here. I'm sure everybody is, kind of caught up with everything that happened. But the most decorated games were Astrobot, got 4 wins, including Game of the Year, 7 nominations. Metaphor, Refantasio, I hope I said that right. 3 wins,
Yeah, I
six
think so.
nominations. Thank you. I actually played that at Summer Games Fest, and I was like, I was just calling it Metaphor. But anyway, so that one did really well as well. Balatro, the card game that everybody's talking about, 3 wins, 5 nominations. And then Black Myth Wukong had 2 wins, 5 nominations. Helldivers 2 had 2 wins, 4 nominations. And then Senua's Sage, Hellblade 2, 2 wins, 4 nominations. So really taking all that in, my initial thought and first thought is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth robbed, but it's okay. But no, I'm just kidding. I think that all of these are obviously like all these people work so hard, and we're just happy to see the success for everybody. I honestly did not play Astrobot. I dabbled with Metaphor, but did not do like a full playthrough and did not play Balatro. So I don't have a lot to say, except
Yeah.
that Astrobot looks phenomenal. But I don't know if you have any history with any of these games. So
So I mean, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I actually made like a very long chain of posts on Blue Sky about Rebirth not winning because, I think the thing about Final Fantasy that a lot of Final Fantasy fans don't consider is it is
okay, did we lose her audio? Oh shoot. B, we lost you. I was hoping it was just me. But you're gonna have to refresh.
okay. There we go.
You're back. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I
Okay,
was like,
yeah,
I thought it was me, so I was like, oh shoot, okay, let me just
no, it's
do some
okay.
stuff on my end. Okay, literally all we heard was that you had posted something big on Blue
Okay,
Sky. So I want to
okay,
hear from the
perfect.
beginning.
Yeah, yeah. So I made a really long post about how I felt about this exact topic with Game of the Year and people being surprised that Rebirth didn't win. A lot of people felt like it had a very large chance at getting it this year. And for a while, I felt that too. But a big thing I think a lot of Final Fantasy fans fail to realize is how niche that is in the grand scope of things. Like for me, I don't know anybody who played Black Myth Wukong, but like that's kind of a normie game. There's a lot
Hmm.
of people who played that I just would never interact with. And so it's one of those things where I feel like people really just kind of have to like engage outside of their bubble a little bit. Um and Final Fantasy itself, like I'm really happy to see that it ended up there. But why the post I made was so long was about the cultural impact that Final Fantasy I think is not having on people like it did, 20 years or so ago. It didn't sell well in
Hmm.
Japan and it didn't meet the sales expectations of Square Enix themselves. And so I feel like you can't have it actually win that category if the publisher themselves or the creators themselves aren't necessarily happy with what happened from it. I thought it was a great game. Metaphor was my game of the year because I think from a narrative perspective, it tried something different. Um, and it won that category at the Game Awards as well. But Astrobot is the perfect like example of touching base with the youth when it comes to gaming, and showcasing the 30 years of PlayStation. Like it
Hmm.
just made sense to me. The 30th anniversary happened a couple days before the Game Awards. Astrobot, without playing it myself, if you get a PS5, there is like a tech demo called Astro's Playroom. That taught my kids how to play video games. And I think that's so important. Like having stuff like that, having things that your kids are going to like and they're going to grow up remembering. And what I know about Astro like I guess Astrobot, it calls back on everything throughout the PlayStation history. So like
Hmm.
Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, stuff like that. Like it references all of that stuff. So that's something that kids and their parents and their grandparents and everybody who's been a gamer for PlayStation can like sit down and connect with almost immediately.
Hmm.
And I think will in 30 years still have an impact on people. I hope that it brings back platforming.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, honestly, you touched on a lot of great points there. You know what? I kind of want to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth first, and it's so interesting because I'm 37, and Final Fantasy has just been embedded in my childhood, you know. I think
Mhm.
we started off with Mystic Quest when I was a kid, which I think was like technically not a Final Fantasy. I don't remember the logistics there, but I remember there was like some controversy about it. And then got into
It was made as an American game.
yes.
So it was called Final Fantasy like Mystic Quest United States because they felt like Americans wouldn't be able to handle, I guess, like
Mhm.
an actual but it's a really good game. I like it. I've played it recently actually.
Yeah, it's actually it is kind of like Final Fantasy Light, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just not as in depth, but it was such a great world. And man, the fact that you played it recently, I'm like, I gotta get on this retro gaming kick because it's like just talking about this is making me all smiles. And then after that, I was into Final Fantasy 2, and then like it was just the whole run of the gamut there. Like I obviously think of like Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 3 I dabbled with. Final Fantasy 2 I held really near and dear to my heart. So it's like just interesting to me because I grew up with it and I played it, and I just feel like it's such an important franchise, and I just want everyone to have exposure to it. And I recently played a little bit of 16, want to dive back into it more, but I thought it was a great game too. And I thought
Mhm.
Rebirth was gorgeous. Love the narrative, love the music, love the mini games, loved everything. And but I 100% agree with you that it's hard for us to give a game of the year when obviously there was so many shortcomings when it comes to the developer's perspective, right? And but it does make me scared about the future for Final Fantasy, because it's like, is this a franchise that is near and dear to like you and me be, but is it kind of
Mhm.
like dying out? Which is like, I mean, honestly, it just breaks my heart to even say that out loud?
With the MMO, I don't think so. The
Okay.
MMO is the one that I argue is actually doing what it needs to keep the series culturally relevant. And I think
Hmm.
that's also the goal of the 7 remake. The problem that's happening is media literacy obviously is a huge issue. People do not understand storytelling beats and how you have something told in parts sometimes is going to be written to keep it interesting for those cuts in where the game ends. And I think that right now is like the biggest downfall of it. I
Hmm.
personally will not like I've enjoyed the ride with the remake. I think it's really well done.
Hmm.
I think it's great, but I can't judge something until it's complete. And I think it's maybe let people's imaginations wander too much in the regards of like, oh, this is going to change so much, and then there's whiplash for it not changing. And I think people just have really high expectations. And I also think they tackle nostalgia too much without appealing to a newer crowd. So that's why I say 14 is great because 14 gets new people. It references the older titles and it makes people who are new want to go and play the other
Hmm.
titles, which is
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a really great point. 14 is killing it, right? You're talking about Final Fantasy
Yeah.
14, right? Um,
Yes. Yep.
which I've dabbled in. I literally made my cat girl and then I like fell off. But again, us talking
Mhm.
about this, I'm like, probably need to revisit that again. But it is
Yeah.
interesting that I will give you with Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth that it played into nostalgia a lot, which I think obviously made it resonate with me. But we do need to think about this like passing of the baton and how do we get new people into Final Fantasy. So Final Fantasy 14 is doing it right. Hopefully we'll see what they do, with the future RPGs. I mean, I was Final Fantasy 16 that popular? I felt like I was
No,
super
it
excited about
wasn't.
it. Yeah, and nobody was talking about it. Like nobody. So,
So I 16, I approached with like a really open mind
mhm.
and I enjoyed the playthrough, but it started this like internet conversation of what is a Final Fantasy because so many people played it and said this is not Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
And I can't say I agree with that, but it's hard to also define what that is because over the years if you play through all of them you see they one of the defining features is how it changes and adapts.
Hmm.
um I think the problem with the series currently is how long it takes for these games to get made, which of course they're stunning, they're beautiful, like they would absolutely be ahead of everything, but because it takes so long they're kind of behind now. We're back in the heyday of it all, like the golden era of Squaresoft. They were setting the standard in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
So they were what everybody wanted to be. Now everybody is like putting out games faster and they're behind. And so I think they kind of have to like stop worrying about the innovations, stop worrying about how it looks, and just make something that people like. Um, I don't know if going back to turn based is the answer. That seems to be a big core part of that conversation. But I think story is really important. Um, 16 had like a pretty good story, but at certain parts of it, it really kind of dips into a lull. And my big criticism is it's very Game of Thrones,
Hmm.
but the game started development in 2016, which was the height of Game of Thrones popularity wise. By the time this released, people were done with Game of Thrones. They were over it because they had a sour relationship with it. So I think if 16 came out in 2016, it would have been really popular, but I think it was
Interesting.
too late for that style.
Hmm. Yeah, that's I you know what I think Final Fantasy definitely I want it to have a future, but they
Me
are going
too.
to have to incorporate ways to like honor the new gamers. And to be honest, I'm a millennial, I'm old. I can't begin
Me
to tell
too.
them how to do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think you make a good point too that it's like it takes so long for these games to come out. So it's just kind of like you said, this could have been really popular maybe just a few years ago, but they just take so much time. So I don't know. I Final Fantasy is near and dear to my heart, and so I think I'll always try to buy their games and at least give them a shot. But there
Me
definitely
too.
needs to be some sort of change there, and I think you make some great points. I really loved what you said about Astrobot too. I have not played it, but then hearing all the hype about it, I was just like, man, like just talking about the generation thing, right? Like this is a way to get the new generation like excited about the past, right? So I
Yep.
do think that that's like something that we have to really like give hype and appreciation to Astrobot for. So yeah.
That's yeah. I'm excited for my kids to play it at some point because like I said, they were obsessed with when we got a PS5, they would always turn that on. It came with the PS5 and they still sometimes are like, "Can you plug that in so I can play it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got to get them Astrobot. I have to do it."
Aw, yes, please. I need to try it out, but that like makes me so excited that they're finding an innovative way to bring in the past. So I mean, that's cool as heck to me. Did you play Balatro at all? I did not play the card game at
No, I
all.
was afraid to play it because everybody I talk to who plays it loves it so much. They have a hard time pulling away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I probably shouldn't touch it. But
Yeah.
I kind of wanted it to win because it was made by one person.
Yeah.
And I just something about that is so cool to even see it up there in the nominees.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally. And I'm glad it
yeah,
did really well. You know what I mean? Like still
me
three
too.
wins is huge, you know, but it and I think everybody was talking about it, which was really fun as well. So
Mhm.
yay. Metaphor I gotta try out. Like I said, I tried it out at Summer Games Fest, but like just got a taste of it. But to hear that it's getting all these wins, I'm like, okay, maybe I should have actually purchased it and played it. So like I'm definitely gonna put that on my to playlist. But you finished it?
I haven't finished it. I put
Okay.
about 80 hours into it though. So
Oh,
I'm like I'm deep into it. It's one of my like off stream games because I think it's important to have a balance of like I'm playing something offline but also on stream. I
no.
got to like a super important plot point and then I was like I know I'm probably getting close to the end. I don't know that I want this to end yet. So I
Aw.
gotta get back to it. But I was obsessed with it. I got married on the day it came out.
Oh my gosh,
And
congrats, by the way.
thank you.
I didn't know
So,
that. Happy
yeah,
wedding.
I got married the day it came out. And I spent the next week doing nothing but playing that game. I couldn't stop playing it.
Oh.
So, that's, I mean, it was the same for Rebirth, though. I scheduled.
Oh, uh-oh. Restarting the stream together. We lost B. Do I need to invite back maybe? Yeah, hold on. It just like broke the whole thing down.
Did it close?
Yeah. I think we're still live though. Send invite. Oh, B, I'm
That was
sorry.
weird. Hi.
I'll be honest, that has not happened to me yet. That has not
That's so
happened to me yet.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said on the screen, it says,
It was over.
this
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody, we're
Well,
using Stream Together. It's not, I know it's not ideal, but to be honest, we've done a couple on it and it had gone pretty well with the occasional refresh, but I don't know. It's just funny.
yeah, it's
So,
okay. It's a learning experience.
yes. So bear with us as we're going to try to get B back up here. But yeah, B,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that you were, by the way, you got married and you're like, I still need time for my video games. Thanks. Okay, and then there you are. Yay.
Yay.
Aw. So I also wanted to talk about, were there any games that really spoke to you that you saw trailers of that you were like, oh my gosh, I really, really want to play that?
So, that's a weird one. I feel like because I only really focus on playing JRPGs,
Mm-hmm.
there weren't really that many or any
Mm-mm.
major ones announced at the
Yeah.
Game Awards, which is fine. And this is another point of like Game of the Year. There were so many JRPGs this year that I could not keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like trying to catch up. So I feel more so relieved that there's kind of this like breath of fresh air I can get
Mm-hmm.
to catch up a little bit, especially Final Fantasy. There was it I hit a very large fatigue where it was the FF16 marketing cycle and then it went straight into the FF7 Rebirth marketing cycle and then once that was done it went into the Dawn Trail marketing cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like give me some time and then something can get announced, but I was really excited to see two Capcom series being brought back from the dead.
Okay.
Um, Okami 2
Okay.
and Onimusha. I never really played those, but this past year I've played through the Breath of Fire series, which is a Capcom series that has died. And it
Sad.
comes up all the time where people are like, gosh, I wish they'd bring it back. Why haven't they brought it back
B,
yet?
I have a
And
surprise for you. Hold on. Keep on talking.
oh,
Keep on
okay.
talking. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I'm hoping it comes back because um I really enjoyed it and I think more people need to play it.
I don't know if
Look
you
at
can see my
that.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that
I
crazy?
can. Yes.
I don't
That's
dare
awesome.
open it. I think it probably has yeah, wow, it has all the like guides and stuff like that in there too. But like just the art alone, isn't that crazy? It was a different time. I'm like,
Oh.
I know. So remind me how Breath of Fire started. Because
Um
this was one of my brother's favorite games. So I
Okay.
kept this one because I was just like I knew that he vibed. By the way, like look, this is so old school. How beautiful is this, right?
I know it does that thing where they try on the front cover to make it look American,
Yeah.
but it's really, like, super anime on the inside, and when you
Yeah.
play the
Oh my
game,
gosh, yeah,
it
look at the protagonist here.
yeah,
Oh my
it's so
gosh.
funny to me that they when you look
Which
at the cover versus that.
I don't think that looks anything like the same character.
No,
That's
it
so
doesn't.
funny. That
That
is
was pretty
so
common. I
funny.
know Mega Man, the first Mega Man game, have you ever seen what that cover looked like in
No.
America?
No, I'll have to
It's
look it
not
up.
it's not good. It
Is
looks
it
really
bad?
bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, I'll have to look it up. But anyway, please go on about how you're excited about Capcom retro games, please. I just wanted to
Well,
show
I
that to you. So,
yeah, no, I just kind of I think that gave a lot of people a little more hope that they're not just remaking Resident Evil, that maybe they're gonna look at their other series that have been beloved as well, just as much as Resident Evil.
mhm.
And until the Game Awards, most people were like, "No, it's not gonna ever happen. They don't care about it." And to, "Hey, actually, maybe
Mhm.
it's there. Maybe they're listening to their surveys that they're putting out."
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I did the Capcom panel. I hosted it at PAX, and they were dropping all of these like retro remakes, predominantly for the fighting games, which I
Yeah,
think might be a little bit easier to reboot. I don't know, because you can argue that
probably.
you could argue the logistics on that there, right? Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm sure you're super excited to see that these other ones are coming to life too, because then it's like you hold out hope and see if these other ones will. So, remind me how
Yep.
Breath of Fire started though, because I'm trying to see if
So
I can remember it.
the first game kind of starts generic RPG where it's like a boy in a village, the village is destroyed, he must leave to like search for his sister,
Mm-hmm.
and like that part didn't get me, but what gets me with even just the first game is there is so many different types of species that you basically run into.
Hmm.
So like when you look at that book, there's like fish people, there's winged people, there's wolf people, like, and those fill out your cast as well, like the people you can play, and they all have unique things that they can bring to battle as well, fight styles and stuff. So I just thought that that was so fun, and the art, like the pixel art of the game, is really really good. Um,
Okay.
Good
I
soundtrack too.
The intro sounds very familiar. I remember this little blue-haired icon. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like, so that's like
Yep.
all that my childhood is bringing to my brain right now. But it was one that my brother loved, and we're gonna have to talk like retro RPGs in a little bit. But was there anything else
Yeah.
besides the Capcom announcements,
Um,
or were
no,
those really it?
not really.
Okay.
That was really it for me. Yeah.
Then I'll just give a little recap of what like stuck out to me. And honestly, they're pretty much, the big ones that everybody was chatting about. Intergalactic, obviously, this is Naughty Dog. I thought that the trailer was really intriguing. It had this retro feel, and it's sci-fi, and so I was like, that will probably vibe with me. Naughty Dog makes great
Yeah.
narratives, great stories. So we only got a taste of it, but I have really high hopes for it. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, no, it does look really good. Very cinematic, which is
Yes.
really nice. And it's also just nice to see them break away from The Last of Us a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
it feels like that's been for like 10 years they're like baby. So it's
Totally.
nice to see something new come out of them because I think they've made some super innovative stuff. So
Totally. I'm trying to think of the other. I didn't know that they were connected to the Uncharted series, but that is like absolutely
Mhm.
huge. I forgot about that, you know, because like when the trailer came up, it was listing a bunch of other stuffs that other games and franchises that they've worked on. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Love The Last of Us. Love The Last of Us 2. I mean, like honestly, those are like probably my top 10 for video games of all time. But it's like
Mhm.
we want something new. We want something fresh, you know? So like I was digging the protagonist Jordan. I thought that they seemed really really cool, and they played Pet Shop Boys. So my little like 80s, you know, weird, you know, retro music heart love that. So I was just like, okay, that was probably my favorite to be honest. So
And there's something really cool about like 80s, 90s music with the backdrop being futuristic. Like
mhm.
there's something about that juxtaposition that just like, scratches my brain the right way. I don't know what it
Totally.
is.
Yeah, no, actually, I was thinking of you when I was watching it because it had such a retro feel. Because remember when Jordan's talking to like her agent or I don't know, whoever gives her her assignments, and it was just
Mhm.
like so 80s looking, you know, like the
Yeah.
monitor looks so 80s and they had an eye patch and I think Jordan was watching anime in the beginning, so like everything was just like I
Yeah.
was like okay, I really like this one for sure. The other one that I'm super excited for is Split Fiction. Um, and I believe it's from Like It Takes Two and it's from It
Oh
Takes Two
yeah.
and A Way Out, the same developers. I don't know if you played It Takes Two, but I was obsessed with that game.
I haven't. I've always wanted to wait
Yeah,
until my kids are like a little better playing
totally.
games because I've heard it's really good. The whole concept of it is to play with someone else. So,
Yeah, because it's like you're basically, honestly, I don't want to spoil too much for you because it is such a
yeah.
delight as a gamer. But I didn't know anything about it. Like I just knew it was a couch co-op game, and so my boyfriend and I started playing it together, and I was like, all right, like let's see if this is any good. The narrative is amazing. They find ways to incorporate all different gaming genres because you go to all these different like levels and worlds. So they dive into fighting games. They dive into like MMOs. They dive into puzzle games, all this different stuff, and I was just blown away at just how expansive it was. And then the story is very comedic, but also like really heartfelt and sad. So I honestly would highly recommend it. And then Split Fiction just seemed cool to me because it's combining like sci-fi and fantasy. Apparently, it's like two game developers trapped in this world and they're kind of flip-flopping between the sci-fi world that one created and the fantasy world that the other one created, and I just thought it was a cool concept. So those two are definitely on the top for me. Did you play Witcher at all or no?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It seems so vast. And I feel like if I played Witcher, any of them, all I would do is probably ride around on a horse.
You know
I
what,
don't think I'd make it very far.
I kind of loved doing that when I played Witcher 3. It was the most peaceful thing ever. So I don't blame you for that. But obviously Witcher 4 I think was getting a lot of, I guess, mixed reviews. People are upset that
Yeah.
Ciri's the protagonist. I like Ciri. I don't have a problem with it. People are talking about like continuity and lore issues. I'm just like, I don't know. I think it depends on the gamer, right? Like a lot of people are upset. They want to be playing as Geralt again.
Yeah.
I was like, it's fine. I don't, as long as it's a good game, and I think Ciri is cool. Like I've always liked that character, so like I did. For me, I'm probably gonna play. So I just didn't get all. I don't. People were getting really hyped up about it, and I was like, Ciri's cool, and I'm down to play as long as the game has a good story and it's like fun to play. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think both Intergalactic and Witcher 4 kind of had like the same crowd of people yucking the yum on that one, where
Mm-hmm.
it was people being like, women should look like this in games, and they show like Stellar Blade versus those characters, and I'm like, those characters are still beautiful. I don't get it. Like, who cares? These are not made for your standards. Like,
The fact that someone said, I was reading on Reddit and someone's like, they made Siri ugly. I was like, That did
What?
not cross my mind once while watching. Like, I literally did not, and I played the past game. Like, I played Witcher 3, and it's like, and I watched the series, and I'm a little bit acquainted with the lore, even read a book, and it's just like, that just didn't even, like, I didn't even think that. It didn't even process in my brain. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's those
It's
folks out there, so, yeah.
they're always going to complain, and I don't play it then, maybe like
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that bothers me about it, is that nobody's forcing you to play any of these games. That's your own choice. You spend that money to play whatever you want. If you want to go play, for lack of better term, a gooner game, then go play it, but like like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
um so I don't
Yeah. It's just,
I get annoyed.
yeah, I mean, like, it's just like silly. Like, it's like we shouldn't even give them attention. So anyway, any commentary
Yeah.
like that, I'm just like, I have no toleration for. But I actually thought, like, overall the Game Awards were pretty interesting. Like, I liked
Yeah.
a lot of the trailers I saw. I thought that, like, I agreed with you. I was
The
like, okay,
Muppets,
oh my god, the Muppets, they were so funny, and
they got to bring them back.
they dude, Harrison Ford and Snoop Dogg. I'm just like, I mean,
Yeah.
the Game Awards is, I think that they're really trying to make it, they're trying to bring in these celebrities. So maybe to keep it feeling young and hip or whatever. Though, I mean, the Muppets, that's like kind of giving it up for the old school people, if you know what I mean, But it's
Yeah.
cool. Definitely the Muppets were the best guest.
No, so the funny thing to me, my youngest daughter, she's 2, and she's really into watching. They did like a reboot of the Muppet Babies. I
Uh-huh.
used to watch that when I was a kid on like Nickelodeon, I
Oh my
think,
god, love
before
Muppet
Disney
Babies.
Channel. I loved it too, but so now she watches it. She was watching the Muppet Babies as I'm sitting at my computer watching the Game Awards, and on her screen is, I think it's Stalder and Waldorf, I think is their
Yes.
name.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I was like, "Oh my god, come over here. They're over here." And she was like, "Oh my god." So the youth
Oh.
still know who they are.
The youth know the Muppets?
Yeah.
I'm actually shook by that. I'm not gonna lie. Because, like, I mean, well, I guess you said Muppet Babies. Yeah, I guess they have exposure to it. Though,
Mhm.
were Statler and Waldorf in Muppet Babies?
I don't recall
I
them
don't
being
either.
there.
Yeah, I was
But
like,
I feel like I as I've gotten older, I relate to them so much more. And like they should host the Game Awards,
I'm here for it.
because they were perfect.
I loved how they were low key, they were poking the bear with the Game Awards. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, they were like, okay,
Yeah.
is this over? They said something like, oh yeah, this is the show where it's like game commercials the entire time with like minor award interruptions or something like that. And I was just like, dude, this is, I actually was really, it was nice to see Jeff was like able to put them on and like poke fun at himself a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I actually like gave him props for that, because did not expect that. So
So I just checked on it. They
yeah.
did make some appearances on the original Muppet Babies, and they're referred to as Uncle Statler and Uncle Waldorf.
Hold, I need to find when they were on the Muppet Babies. Like,
In the
were
it
they
says,
young?
yeah, no, they're not. They're old guys.
They're still old in the Muppet Babies.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still just old guys. I'm finding like the cartoon screenshots and everything.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to send that to me on Discord, because like I need to see that. Also, Muppet Babies was such a good show. Like,
I
I
loved it.
I can't recall anything specific happening, but I just knew it had a lock on my heart so badly when I was a kid. Like, it was just like that, and Tiny Toons. I don't know why. Like,
Yeah.
those two, I was like, I love those two. So, in case you're
It
wondering.
feels like none of that has successfully come back. Like they tried to do
No.
Space Jam. They did like a reboot of that, and I feel like it didn't do well, sadly.
I didn't watch it. Not trying to
Yeah, I
be.
didn't either.
Yeah,
No,
dude,
I didn't.
Space Jam back in the day though, when we were kids,
Yeah.
that was that was a work of art. That was a masterpiece when I was a kid. Like I found it like I found the aliens so scary, and I just remember being so worried for Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes characters. Like I don't know why as a kid every time I watched it, I just felt like what's going to happen even though I knew, but aw.
Yeah. I
Dude,
think something I've observed in parenting is
yeah.
that they're really trying to revive everything millennials grew up on
Hmm.
so that we can watch it with our kids. Because millennials over time have been one of the easiest marketing targets. And it used to be like the best marketing age used to be like what like 16 to 25.
Mhm.
It has extended beyond that. They still are marketing to us. And so like yeah, Muppet Babies came back. Like all of these different shows have made a resurgence that before you would never have seen because it's completely reliant on us having nostalgia for it.
You know what's funny? I think it's also this millennial thing. We're just big kids, Like
Yeah.
I spend like you can't really see behind me, but I spend money on obviously video games for both of us, right? But I spend money
Yeah.
on plushies, I spend money on action figures, I spend money on like little figurines. You know what I mean? So it's like I think
Me
we're
too.
still kind of kids too. But I've
Yeah.
I've mixed feelings about all of the remakes. You know what I mean? Like
No,
it's
me
like,
too.
do you? Okay, tell me your thoughts because I want to hear.
I mean, I think some things get it. Some things have done remakes well, some things just do it because it's obviously trying to cash out on something. And I think if they get the spirit of it right, then it's good. Like for me, a huge one was, and this is a long time ago now, but
Mm-hmm.
Sailor Moon Crystal.
Oh.
I grew up being a huge Sailor Moon fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had to bend over backwards to like get the manga, and I would be online, saveoursailors.com and stuff like that, like in the forums, talking about like before we even knew that the outer senshi existed or anything like that. I was like so chronically online as a very
Aw.
young kid about that stuff. Um, when Sailor Moon Crystal was announced, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, but it just never grabbed me the same way. I think it's beautiful, but something about it, it just I don't know if it's because I grew up
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't hit the way it did when I was a kid or what, but I was kind of bummed about it because
That's
it's
so
beautiful.
funny. So, obviously, I'm like a huge anime fan. I have like a ton of Sailor Moon
Mhm.
like figures behind me. But first of all, yes, we were in the library. We were looking up fan fictions. We were
Yes.
like
Yep.
Googling manga art, and we were like, what is this world? I don't know about you, but I found out that Zoisite was a guy. And then I was like,
Yeah.
why would they do that here in the United
Even
States?
finding
And
about the stars, the
the
Sailor
Sailor Star.
Stars, and not the cousins, but
Oh,
like, all of that stuff. Like I was so mad when we got that translated and I was like, "Cousins?
yeah.
What
Yeah.
what do you mean?"
I
That's so
it
weird.
I honestly am so grateful for Sailor Moon being in my life because it made
Yeah.
me early on very much question what was fed to us, right? Cuz I was like,
Yes.
why wouldn't they just let Zoisite and Malachi do their thing? Like I was just like I was so confused as to why they were changing stuff in for us in the US and why it wasn't okay. You know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
US standards. It really like and that's why I'm like Sailor Moon holds a is like near and dear to my heart cuz it's like it shapes so much of who I am as a person just from those library days be like we didn't even it wasn't
Yeah.
just the narrative of the story it was just like it just existing made us question so much as children, which is so cool,
It's
so.
huge. Yeah. I've thought about that so much lately too, about
Aw.
just like what that opened me up to, and I think made me way more accepting of so many things in my life that I would see other people like completely be like, "Oh, what? Well, that's not." And I'm like, "Why? Why does it matter?" So I think that's such an interesting point
Mhm.
about how it has affected us in the long term.
I mean, Sailor Uranus alone. Like it was. I was talking to one of my guy friends about it recently, and we were just like, we loved her. Or we wanted to be her. We didn't know if they
Mhm.
were they or them, whatever. We were just like this. Whatever this is so iconic and awesome, and it just made it like so cool that gender is, that's something that's been prescribed to us by society. It's
Yeah.
like, we could go all deep on that, but it's really like, be you, be who you want to be, like do whatever you want to do, like respect your soul and your heart. And like Sailor Uranus really, it's so funny though. I'm sorry, I love that we're going down the Sailor Moon pathway, but it's like
Mhm.
just my internal thoughts and processing of the Sailor Moon narrative and story and characters just helped me morally. Like it really like helped me develop my own morals and develop my own identity, which is crazy, but that is the truth.
Yeah.
So,
No, me too.
oh my
Yeah.
god.
And that's why it got weird when Crystal was announced, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden, all of these people that I went to like, I grew up with, and I was maybe this was, like, 5 or 6 years after I graduated high school.
Mhm.
All of these people are like, "Oh my god, I grew up on this, I love this." I was like, "No, you didn't. I'm not trying to gatekeep, but I never saw you talking about this, and if you did like it, you were ashamed of it, and that makes me so sad that you weren't
Yeah.
able to just like what you like." That's what I love about right now, is that
Mhm.
people can just like the things they like, and it feels like there's not as much of a stigma, like,
Aw. That's so
I
true.
I just I just love that.
Dude, I got bullied so badly for liking anime when I was a kid. I also was very over the top. I had an obsession with Sailor Moon. I like literally
Me too.
printed out like the manga and like pictures from the manga, not the actual manga. My mom would have been like, "What? It's 10 cents per printout at the library." But I printed out some photos and I put them in my locker, and I had like stationery and t-shirts, and I just got, people were so mean to me. I literally like would eat in the bathroom alone, which is like a
Aw.
trope in movies. And I was like, no, that
Yeah.
actually happened to me in middle school. But honestly, like everything shapes you into who you are today. Like I wouldn't take Sailor Moon out of my life. Like it's like I know that
No.
I got made fun of it, but I do think, or got made fun of for it. But one thing that I do agree with you that's great is like, I don't want to sound like an old person here, but it's like, we walked so people can run and like
Yeah.
absolutely love anime and love video games and be nerdy and buy all this weird stuff that I have behind me and be proud of it, you know?
Well, the
So,
fact we can buy this stuff, and I think that kinda ties back to how we even got into the conversation. I think we buy all of this stuff because it was so exclusive when we were kids. We always dreamed of it. Like, I
mhm.
remember when I was, like, 6 years old, this was, like, when I discovered Sailor Moon. There were these Sailor Moon shoes at Walmart, and I was blown away. I was like, "I can't believe they actually have these on shoes here. I've never seen it on anything other than maybe a folder."
Yeah.
They did not have my size, and it crushed me. I've always wanted those shoes, so it's like those things. We didn't have access to those
Oh my
so
gosh.
easily as a kid. So now it's like I can buy all of the plushies, I can buy all the figurines, and it's
Mhm.
just so cool that we have that opportunity now.
I literally just felt your pain as a child about not getting that Sailor Moon shoe, because I know young Jackie, if I had seen a Sailor Moon shoe and it wasn't in my size, I would have been wrecked. Like it would have like really hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I so how I have healed this is when my youngest, she's 7 now,
Yeah.
when she was 2, I found this, Sailor Moon shirt with the 5 original on it,
Mhm.
and, um, I have passed it down through all of my kids. They've all worn the shirt, and they love the shirt, and we've watched some of it together when they're interested.
Aw.
So, that's how I've healed that in myself.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm like so happy that we did this. It was like so great to nerd out with
We
you about
get
all
to
this
a
game
lot of
stuff
the
and
stuff you
anime.
wanted to talk about.
I know. Honestly, like I'm happy we went over a lot of the Game Awards stuff, but I feel
Yeah.
kind of bad because I wanted to talk a lot about like your stream and your streaming journey, but we really only have a couple minutes left. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most of the people in the chat right now are very well acquainted with you and they're a part of your community. But I do think it's so cool that you stream retro games, and I would love to, I know we've chatted about it a little bit more, but just like looking back at your journey, like is it crazy to be where you're at now, and just talk a little bit about like the evolution of your stream essentially.
Yeah, because so for me, I have always just kind of done this as a hobby and as a way to hold myself accountable. I have ADHD, so I used to have this problem where if I would start a game, I'd get like 10 hours into it and then I'd be like, "You know what? Maybe I want to play this game." And I would never beat anything. For some reason, the moment I started streaming 10 years ago, I started beating stuff because it felt like, you know what? This is something that holds me accountable and encourages me to make sure that I'm finishing what I start. I still kind of go off sometimes and forget about things, but like I'm human. And it's been really cool that over the years I have met so many people who are passionate about retro games in the same way. And now I've kind of delved into trying series I never got to play as a kid. And that's so interesting for people because they're like, "Oh wow, like you've played Final Fantasy growing up and like all of the Squaresoft games. What is your perspective on playing these other RPGs that were trying to kind of like live under the shadow of Final Fantasy in a lot of
Mhm.
ways?"
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's like weird to say that it's changing me a lot and like shaping my own opinions and kind of making me realize like, wow, I missed out on some really good stuff. But it's cool that I have a space to do that and be myself and just kind of yap and have a good time 3 times a week.
Um, I love your streams so much. I love your community. Like it's just like positive vibes, and I love your frogs. I love when you brought your frogs up. I was like, I didn't.
They are
I
perfect.
knew there was a frog theme. I didn't know there was actual frogs.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyway, they're awesome. What were their names again?
Oh, there's like 10 of them.
There's
So
10. I only
right.
saw
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, I have 10 of them in that enclosure, and then I have 2 other frogs that are over by my husband's desk because they
Oh
have to be in
my
their own little
gosh.
spots. But, off the top of my head, because I always mess it up, it is Thunder God Sid, Glenn, Palom, Porum, Kaname Date, uh, Welsh Vineyard, Norg, Momo,
Honey.
Honey. Thank you. I'm glad you remembered Honey, and Salmon.
Okay, all those names are so iconic too. I absolutely love that. Well, B, I don't want to take too much more of your time, so I'm gonna wrap things up. But is there anything that you want to say to the audience? Thank you so much for the people who came out. I know that I haven't streamed in a while. It's been holiday madness, like B and I were talking about off of the top, but was super excited to come back and chat with B, and really excited about the lobby and 2025 and all of these great things. And I'm B, I'm super in debt to you because you've really helped me, get back into streaming and, just kind of fall in love with streaming again. Like I genuinely love it, and you really made it like so you took a lot of pressure off myself that I was imposing on myself already. So I just feel very in debt to you. So that was a long-winded way of saying, is there anything you want to say to the audience?
Well,
Sorry.
first of all, I just want to say I love that you're doing this because I think it showcases the things that you're really good at. And
Aw,
I think
thanks.
we're all guilty as streamers of kind of like holding ourselves to some strange invisible standard of
Hmm.
like what we should be doing or what is success. And it's hard because what success is so different to everyone. Um, as for me, upcoming, I am doing my annual playthrough of Parasite Eve on Christmas. It's my favorite
Ooh.
game of all time. It's a Squaresoft. Thank you, honey. My daughter's trying to say Happy New Year. You gotta wait till the end,
Oh, so
okay?
cute. Happy
Um,
New Year.
but so it's a Squaresoft RPG with survival horror elements, and I used to speed run it way back in the day.
Wow.
So I started doing that now. It's gonna be my ninth year.
Hmm.
Um, as a as a result of just kind of being alone. This is before I knew my husband and had kids and everything like that. So going live on Twitch, it was kind of like keeping me in a place where I felt like I was surrounded by people. So I keep that going because I know the holidays are rough. And I know this
Mm,
year is going to be rough for a lot of people too.
yeah.
So I just I like having a good goofy time with it, and that's really what I'm looking forward to upcoming.
Oh, B, this was so fun. Thank you so much for being a part of the lobby and coming on here and talking about your streaming
Thank you.
journey. I mean, like, honestly, this was so fun to geek out with you about like Final Fantasy and Sailor Moon. And I mean, I didn't even like kind of plan for that. We just went on these like deep dives there. So it was great. But thank you, everyone. Where can
You're
they
welcome.
find you? Tell us where the all the
Uh,
ets and all that jazz.
let's see. It's just eyes on B everywhere. My daughter really wants to say Happy New Year to
Yes,
everyone.
please.
Happy New Year.
Oh my goodness. Happy New Year. Oh, such a precious
Thank you, honey.
voice. Oh my gosh. Aw. Okay, I feel like we should just wrap on that.
Oh no, I turned into a frog. Don't mind me. There we go.
with
See, look,
reindeer ears.
yeah, she really wanted me to do that too because I forgot that that was an option.
I love it. All right. Well, on that fine note, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays. And thanks so much, B. Bye,
You're welcome. Thank you.
everybody.